Now, I subscribe to a magazine which is called Spirituality and Health. And every month there is a column in which a rabbi answers people's spiritual questions. And he always begins the column the same way. He says, I do not claim to know anything that you yourself don't already know. But if I can help you remember what you already do know, then I am blessed. I love that. And this week on Facebook, one of our churchgoers, Carl, posted this. I don't know where you got it from, Carl, but it said it the same way as the rabbi did. And the post said, whenever you hear or read something of a spiritual nature and it moves you or touches your soul, you are not learning something. You are remembering what you've already known. You're not learning something. You're remembering what you already know. That's the Epiphany. The truth of the matter is that all of you are wise men and wise women, because you have within you this inner wisdom, this guiding light. And when you remember it and you follow it, you too will discover, like the wise men, you will discover the Christ. You will have epiphanies, those moments where you will begin to see things and understand them in an entirely new way. Now, Oprah Winfrey used to call these epiphanies aha moments. And she used to say so much on her show that actually in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary now is the term aha moment. Okay? And in the dictionary, if you look it up, it says, an aha moment is a moment of sudden realization, inspiration, insight, recognition, or comprehension. And Oprah herself said, I always love those moments when I sit down to talk to somebody and they say something that makes me look at life or a situation in a completely new way, and I say, aha, I get it. The little hairs on my arms stand up. That's an aha moment. Now for me, I call them light bulb moments. You know, like in a cartoon when someone has an idea, there's a light bulb that appears above their head? That to me are what those epiphanies are. I get a light bulb over my head. Because to me, it represents illumination, enlightenment. That's what epiphanies do for us, is they illumine us. And that's what happens to these wise men in today's story. So who were these wise men? Who were the Magi? Well, first of all, many of us are confused because we love that Christmas song, We Three Kings. But never in the gospel does it say that there were three of them. There could have been more. And never in the gospel does it say that they're kings. It says that they're wise men from the east. This gospel story that we read this morning, Matthew 2, is the only story in the entire Bible that mentions the Magi. And that's why we read the same gospel story every year for the Epiphany. What it says about these men is that they were wise. And as we heard in our words of integration this morning, it meant they had a wisdom where they could see things from a higher perspective than most. That they had this special gift, this wisdom, this almost mystical power. And that these men came from the East, which meant they came from a different culture. They came from a completely different spiritual or religious culture. And I love that, because what it means for me is that the light came for everyone. It didn't just come for a special group of people. There's one light, and it came for everybody. Now, we do know that these men were called the Magi. And Magi comes from the same root word as the word magic. The Magi were magicians, but not in the way we understand magicians today. You see, magicians today today are trying to trick us. They're trying to fool us with sleight of hand. They're all about illusion, about the false. The Magi were all about using their gifts and talents to reveal the truth. They read the stars, they read the signs, and they were able to reveal the truth. Now, there are people today who claim to have these mystical powers. There are people who are clairvoyant, who can look into the past, who can foresee the future. There are shamans from different wisdom traditions who can see into the spiritual realm. Now, you may roll your eyes at such things, but the truth of the matter is that law enforcement, police departments all over the world have used these people to help solve crimes. Now, last Sunday, at our burning bowl ceremony, we had a visitor to our church who is a shaman. Some of you maybe met him last week. His name is David. And after our service, he sent me an email. And this is what he said in the email. I wanted to share something with you that I experienced during your service. A great phoenix hovered above you during the service. The phoenix is the firebird which rises from the ashes of our lives and creates itself anew. The phoenix was present during the entire burning bowl ceremony, and as the last person placed their paper in the bowl, the phoenix rose to the ceiling and exited through the roof. I have a feeling that some very powerful things will be happening in the lives of your congregation as well as in the life of the church. It was an honor to be a part of such an extraordinary experience. Now, I don't claim to have any knowledge of this. This is not a gift that I have been given or that I've ever used, but I want to remain open. We at Douglas UCC have said for many years in our mission statement that we are open to people of other wisdom traditions, and that we're a church that's more about the questions than the answers. I never want to be too certain about something. I want to be open to possibilities. I want to be open to new ways of seeing and new ways of looking at things, because that's what will bring about epiphanies. What I do know from my Christian tradition is that one of the earliest Christian martyrs was a man named Clement. And Clement wrote a letter to the early Christians in which he also mentioned the phoenix, and he mentioned it in regard to the Magi. And what Clement said in his letter was, he said, there is a bird from the east that comes from the same place as the Magi. And that when that bird is ready to die, it builds itself a nest. And Clement said, it makes the nest out of frankincense and myrrh. And then it sets itself on fire in the nest so that it can be reborn as something new. That's what the phoenix does. That's what Clement was trying to tell the early Christians. The same message, but in regards to the Epiphany, in regards to the Magi, because that's what this whole story, this whole gospel story is all about. It is about our transformation. And that's what the three gifts the Magi brought were all about. They were all about transformation: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. If you were here last Sunday, I talked about alchemists. And I said how alchemists take base metals and they transform them into gold by the use of fire. So that's what gold represents: transformation. Frankincense is an incense that comes from the east. And when you take that and you ignite it with the fire, it has the power to awaken people to the spiritual realm. It is why incense has been used by Eastern spiritual traditions in meditation and in prayer and in all of their spiritual practices for centuries. And myrrh is a tree resin that is used for medicinal purposes. It is used to heal people. Those were the gifts that the Magi brought to the light. When you bring your gifts to the light and you set them on fire, you will be transformed. And that's why a few Sundays ago I mentioned that Jesus is the one who baptizes us not with water, but with fire. And when we connect with that fire, with that light, we have these epiphanies, these new ways of seeing, this new way of being. So that's what this Epiphany story is all about. It is not just about our remembering these wise men. It's about reminding ourselves that we are the wise men and women. And so we need to go about and do what they did. So what did they do? They kept their eyes focused on the light. And they followed that light. They followed the guidance of that light. And it led them to the Christ. The front cover of your bulletin today says, "Where is the child?" You know where the child is. It's in you. That's why all through Advent I kept telling you to go into the quiet and prepare the nursery so that you could birth the child. The child is in you. That's where the light is. So what we need to do, like the Magi, is to stay focused on that light, that inner guidance, that inner wisdom. Follow that, and you will be led to these epiphanies, to these new ways of seeing, this new way of being. This is the start of a new year, a brand new year. Let us go forth in this new year to be like the Magi, to be people who keep our eyes on the light, and to be people who follow that star and that light, and to be people who, like the Magi, keep watch. And what are they watching for? They're watching for the next epiphany, the next great, amazing thing that God has in store for you and for us in 2016. Namaste. Namaste.